Indiana Jones, It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. The Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. All I can say is, oh man. I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Gerald Christopher St. Raymond Nonatus, patron of the falsely accused. And I was thinking I could have used his intercession in the principal's office in 1987.
Aw. No, that was you, wasn't it? You were actually guilty that time.
No, that was the whole
you were
point.
rightfully accused.
Yeah. It's a whole other scene.
That's true. Porter.
And I'm very excited to welcome today's guest. Looking forward to discussing some special effects. We're joined by Amy Young, formerly from the Pyro, Model, and Stage departments at ILM. Welcome to the show, Amy.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're excited to have you today.
Yay.
Very excited.
I'm very happy to just be discussing this minute.
Cool. Well, this minute is, for those listening at home, minute 109. Minute 109 begins with the camera giving Henry the Jaws treatment, and it ends with Indy throwing some dirt over the invisible bridge. And I love this opening camera shot because it's not quite like the Jaws shot, but it sort of reminds me of that in the Vertigo shot because the camera's focused on Henry, but the background zooms in. And it's really a beautiful shot. And I like it because it kind of gives the effect that Henry and Indy are being drawn closer together, like the space separating them is kind of disappearing.
Gosh, I never noticed that.
Prepares
You're right.
leap
It
of
is like
faith.
the Jaws shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Those good eyes. You know, do you actually, this is a question for Amy. We're going to get right down into it here. In these minutes where Indy and Henry are separated, and if we look at this shot here, I mean, Henry is really bathed in a celestial light.
Yeah.
Is there something else going on here, do you think? Maybe, I mean, I was just using the word intercession. Do you think somebody's, giving an alley-oop here?
You
Maybe
know,
God?
I never thought of that, but you're just making me look at it and go, oh, you're right. I've never thought of it. It's a really good question. I wouldn't be surprised if that was somebody had thought of that as a double meaning there.
Hmm.
I mean, he's breathed. I mean, it looks like, oh, I just died, and I'm looking at the light at the end of the tunnel, and Henry Jones is just there too with me.
So you think you see that light when you die and you look up and you just see Henry's face?
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's fine with me.
You see
That's what
whichever
happens
Sean
when you
Connery
die.
you want.
Yeah.
Some people see Zardoz, some people
Yeah.
see...
Couple of Hunt for Red Octobers in there.
Who are the Sean Connerys in your life, Jerry?
Well, so the very next shot, they switch to Indy, and he hasn't yet, he's just about to take this challenge, right? And he puts his hand over his heart, and it's reminiscent of when Mola Ram almost ripped his heart out in Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
And I was thinking, is there any other time we've seen Indy perform this gesture?
I don't think so. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think also. I know the one thing that we see actually is more of a Harrison Ford thing that I see in every movie. Just about he's fallen down and he's climbing back up or something, and we see his hand come shaking over the edge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's something
Yeah.
that I had noticed. When I was hearing you talk about the previous film and the heart being ripped out, I remember how fast the heart was beating. And here, he's obviously, it's like he's got to calm himself.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I see.
Yeah.
I see that he's calming himself. So,
As someone who does take a few swipes and swings at this movie occasionally, I'd like to say, seconds 3 to 16 are really powerful. These shots just on Indy on this final challenge, I mean, that is some amazing Harrison Ford acting. He goes from trepidation to marshaling all his spiritual strength to questioning if it's enough, and then he alights on a completely new, almost puzzling sensation, and it's not serenity. I think it's, well, this is the best I've got here. Here goes nothing.
It's like a resolution, sense of resolution, or
Yeah.
Well, that's why I kind of like, Amy, your read of it, that he's calming himself, that he's like, okay, I'm freaking out. My dad's been shot. I'm trying to save him. Oh my God, I'm being faced with a leap of faith, a test of my faith. Do I have any faith? And, I don't want to try to buy the idea that he's putting his hand on his heart and counting to 10, and then he has faith suddenly, and then he can walk across the chasm because now suddenly he believes in God or something. But the idea that he's calming himself and cutting out all the static and just like, okay, this is all I've got. Either my dad's going to die behind me or I'm going to just try this. So here I go.
Well, I think it's also that he's listening to his father for the first time in a long time. He has to. It's his father's notes. His father knows. He's trusting his father. The faith is not in God, maybe. The faith is in his father.
Oh, my God. Huh. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, let me ask you. So has he just turned off his targeting computer?
Yes.
Maybe, right? I don't know.
That's what I see.
Yeah.
What I love in this, and at the very end, like where I said he sort of alights on this new sensation, what J.W. Rinsler said, I think a minute or two ago, like, Indy is an everyman. And right here, seconds 3 to 16, it's like we get a perfect tour of the everyman's emotions. He's not like, oh, I got this.
Right.
It's like what you said, Tom. He's like, well, this is the best I have.
Right.
This is it. Yeah. I if this isn't enough, I have nothing else to do.
But the flip side of that is interesting. Like, he's hoping for the best, but if there's not a bridge there, or if there's not something there to keep him going, like, is he just prepared to plummet to his death?
I think he is.
Like,
I think that's
well,
part
if
of
my
what
dad
it
dies,
is.
that's it. I don't want to go on.
I think that's part of the grabbing the chest or the heart. It's like, well,
maybe.
Yeah.
This is it. This might be it. But
I think
it's cool that he's willing to make that sacrifice.
Yeah. And part of his thinking must be like, I've survived so many things I should not have survived that, if this doesn't work out, I guess that's fair. I mean, I had a good run.
Well, and Tommy, you'll appreciate this. My mom has a few maxims for navigating life.
She sure does. Nuggets of wisdom.
And one of them is, little nuggets of wisdom. And one of her most commonly uttered ones is, Jerry, don't die dumb. And I'm wondering, if Indy just plummets, like, is he thinking he died dumb? or is he sitting there going, this is bogus. Yeah. Come on, I really believe.
In the picture, the knight was floating across the thing. That's all I tried to do. Oh.
Yeah. I looked at the diary.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say this though. Like, he does take the leap of faith here, but I feel like Indy should probably die anyway. Because he takes the leap of faith in the most ridiculous way possible. And even if he knows that there's like a walkway down there, it seems like he's going to fall off. Like he sticks his leg way up in the air and then kind of falls on it.
Oh my gosh. Is he a goose-stepping moron right here?
Oh,
would his dad be disgusted with him if he saw him?
Now that was my note, and I was saving it wrapped for Pete Mummer. You opened it up, Tom. You ruined. I think he's just trying to stick it to the goose-stepping morons here. He's making fun of them. The goose-stepping moron. Well, let me ask you, Amy, is this the scariest part of the movie?
See, now I have to refresh my memory. Yeah, actually, I think it is. It is. It's I'm going to back that up because I was going to second guess myself about the other mechanisms that he has to pass through, but those are really not any different, not much different from mechanisms we've seen in the previous films. But this is different. This was totally different. There's no way of knowing what it was going to be. So yeah,
I asked that
unknown,
question.
totally unknown.
Yeah, because I think for me this is, and the tension that they create. I mean, again, as somebody who has a few issues with this movie here and there, I think this shot and scene and minute is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of it. I'm really in it. I'm in it, and I'm really afraid.
Yeah, and you're right that Harrison Ford, in looking at it frame by frame here, or second by second, which I've never done before, the expressions on his face are just incredible. In every one, you can see the arc of the emotion that's building, that's in that scene. With some of them with his eyes closed, his mouth open, gasping, breathing. Yeah, it's very real.
Yeah.
There's even one towards the end where he's just a pinch cross-eyed, and you're like, what does he see? And it's almost like skepticism.
It's funny though, like as soon as Tom was talking about him calming his heart rate, I can't stop thinking of this scene is that game show with John McEnroe where he'd like yell at you and you would try to have to keep your heart rate down in a certain range.
I never heard about that. That's funny.
I think you're the only one who remembers that one. Wow. Okay, I have a question for the entire group.
Okay.
Now be honest. Whenever in life you have conquered a wholly optical illusion, do you immediately touch your own butt? Because that's what Indy does here. He's walking across this bridge, and it's a triumphant moment, and he just kind of reaches back and just sort of feels his butt. Kind of not a pat on the back, but a pat on the butt.
Yeah.
Well done, Indy.
Yeah. It's his own, yeah. Why
does he do that?
Sure.
Second. I'm getting there. He's balancing on the thing. Right there. Oh, second 45.
45.
Yeah. He's kind of reaches back, touches
he
his
does.
butt.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
I
mean, I would too if I was Harrison
this...
Ford. I wouldn't keep my hands off my butt.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
He's done that in other films. I've seen this gesture before. I mean, Indiana Jones films anyway. It's like kind of, he's just kind of, stepping back, putting the hands on the hips and like, okay, what now? What next? Because that's about what's going on here.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to know, do you guys think this bridge is just made of salamanders?
Salamander?
Like salamanders, they just, they blend into their surroundings.
You mean chameleons?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Chameleons.
Salamanders.
Yeah. What?
Wow. It's covered in red-eyed tree frogs.
Yeah.
I do. I think the whole thanks, Tommy. I appreciate that. I was just about to fall with my goose-step, and you're the bridge under me.
Gotcha, Jerry.
I meant chameleons.
I
just
think some guy had to come out here and paint it. Like he had to sit there for hours and hours and hours and kind of move his head a little bit and like, okay, a little dab of paint here. Nope, not quite right.
And how often do they have to dust it? Just to keep the illusion from fading.
Just to keep that's true. But they didn't have those blow cans back then.
No.
Like a leaf blower. That would be a lot easier.
It's not a simple broom.
Where's all the light coming from in here?
Got to be some kind of tunnel up above,
Yeah.
You suspend disbelief, boys. It's you gotta have a little art in the film.
Yeah.
It's a leap of faith, Pete.
I want to know right here. Do you guys think that the bridge is literally always there, or does it materialize?
My feeling is that it's always there, and that you see it if you have the faith, and you don't see it if you don't have the faith. And what's interesting, I was trying to look. I think I saw it back on second 23. It's very hard to tell, and I don't know if they actually really got it onto film, but there was a shot that was done looking down, like Indy looking down, somewhere around second 30,
Uh-huh.
so in this model that is composited in, there were some miniature skeletons, some little skeletons that were below. And so, like Indy's point of view, they're very faint. You can see it on the sketch that I told you about. It's just a little drawing. And I see something. Wait, where is it? I see something like on second 23 on the bottom right that could be part of a skeleton. And then on 30, there's just little things that are at the bottom, kind of on the side, that they could be skeletons. So that
Weird.
Huh.
I'm saying that because that is what I feel. It's always there. It's just not seen unless you believe that it's there, and those people fall.
But even if you didn't see it, like, wouldn't you
Yeah.
still land on it? I mean, because
That's
there's no way to get around it, really.
Unless you like
Well,
run and jump diagonally. Like if you have a lot of faith, you die.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm going to go the long way.
That's a good point. Maybe because they don't know where to step because they don't see it. So maybe they do hit it on the way down because they're just not sure-footed because they don't know what's going on. But it could appear, but it doesn't seem like it should just appear because it's supposed to be solid rock.
That would be stupid.
Well, what happens if you ace the Jehovah hopscotch and you're running and you don't see the leap of the lion and you just start running and you don't even think about the leap of faith. You just start running, and then would you still land on the bridge?
Yeah.
The chameleons?
Of course you would.
Okay, so you're saying, that's what I'm saying. You're saying it's actually there regardless of what your faith is.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask the question if it is a leap of faith, but I guess it is because you wouldn't even take the leap if you didn't have some idea that you would be okay or something.
Right.
You're
That's why I
rewarded
think
for even
it's-
trying it.
It's weird that the picture is of the knights falling rather than of just nobody, because it seems like the leap of faith is that you take it rather than that you take it correctly.
Yeah, how did those guys fall?
Yeah.
That's really weird.
Right. But what Amy's suggesting, if there are skeletons below,
Right.
then, I mean, that's pretty much exactly, we just have, 700 years after that painting.
It's still a pretty
Yeah.
narrow bridge. I could see somebody
Yeah.
falling off, which is awful. That'd be terrible.
Yeah,
You
but
take the
all
leap,
three-
you
all-
make it, and then you still fall.
Well, and the one guy falls right at the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all three of them fall at the same time. Which makes me wonder, I wonder if the one knight did a bridge shake.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
He did a short
He's like,
round.
it's mine.
Yeah.
What
That's
if
awful.
what if he's evil?
He's a
Shoes
bridge
untied.
jumper.
Yeah, what if one of the, it's exactly, what is it? He know crazy, he nuts.
So, Amy, I'd love to get into this though about how they created some of this, and it right before this minute is my absolute favorite shot of the movie is when Indy runs out and he stops right there at the ledge, and the camera, you see the tips of his shoes, and the camera kind of does this pendulum motion out and back a little bit over the chasm, which is gorgeous.
So
Is that all a matte painting, or is that?
So it's a combination of things. It's a composited shot. I talked with a colleague who worked on this. His name is John Alexander, and
Cool.
he's done a ton of stuff, and starting as a model maker, matte painter, mostly camera person, artistic director, supervisor, and whatnot through the years. So he said that he actually composited this shot in the motion control printer. There was a practical model of the canyon, which was made by well-known model maker Paul Houston, and on stage they threw sand over an approximately positioned blue colored plank so they could extract it. So and it was and it was blue screen back then, and I get this question almost every
Uh-huh.
time. It's like, well, was it blue screen or green screen, and why did they change it? And you guys probably have already heard this before, you know the answer, but
No.
No, I don't.
it's because it was film, and blue is what worked with film, and once we got into digital,
Oh.
green is what works, and that was right around 2000. So
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is interesting.
so
is the bridge itself, when there's that shot, sort of, he makes the leap and you're like, what's going on? But then the camera sort of sways to the side. It looks very, I want to say like, young Sherlock Holmes, very early computery.
So what they had to
Effect.
do was they had to blue screen Indy or Harrison Ford as well to match move him into position on the printer, because the model and the blue screen moves didn't match exactly. So
Uh-huh.
so you have the model, you have a matte painting, you have the actor on the blue screen, as well as the plank that's a blue screen that they threw the sand across.
So this was all done on film, though. This wasn't like a digital thing.
right. It was not digital. And we also still had rotoscoping back then, which
Mhm.
is animation. So I don't know whether or not any rotoscoping was done on this particular shot. It's kind of wherever it's needed.
Do you know how they built the model of this canyon, or how they would build would it be styrofoam kind of cut out, or?
Yeah, there's a wooden base, and then depending on the material available, it's the styrofoam, kind of like flower shops would use. There's
Oh,
that.
okay.
There's that. It's
Yeah.
very,
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
it's more dense, but there's also foam that they spray on. They will the stuff that's really shiny that you would use to fill holes in your house. They do a lot of this. I don't know if they used it for this model, but there was a lot of vacuum forming and paintings. There's all kinds of techniques depending on what you're looking for. So lots of different types of foam that you can then shave down, or you can sculpt. And I don't know what materials were used in this, but looking at it, because it's rock and it's kind of dry, it was probably some kind of foam over a wooden structure, of course.
I guess I have a chicken and an egg question then. Like, if you have a model and a matte shot together, which comes first? Like, does the guy paint the matte painting and then you build the model around that, or vice versa?
I think they're done interdependently, because it's all planned out ahead of time. The effect shots are all planned out ahead of time. Well, not for this film, but nowadays there's so many special effects companies that you have to bid to win. The shots. Okay, we got 70 shots, or we got 2 shots. Whatever. So you have to plan it out, just like an architect, whatever. And so, if they know that's what they're going to need, then the departments start working independently and come up with preliminaries, and they meet, and it gets tweaked, and then that's how it goes. Because things will change, and then you'll see matte paintings with little holes, and like, what's that little hole for? Well, that's where we're gonna put this person, this actor, this object.
Oh, that's cool. Are the matte paintings always on glass?
They were on glass, and they I don't know when it was, but one of the most interesting things that you'll hear somebody say if you ever go on a tour at ILM these days, because they have some of the matte paintings on the wall, is that they're like door frames, that were glass, because they're already framed. But yeah, I think matte paintings have been done on other materials, but glass is what ultimately is the best.
Is it because you can light it behind it, or?
I think that's part of it, but yeah, probably, because it just looks better. It looks a lot richer. Even to see one on the wall without any light behind it, it just looks real. I don't know how else to say it. It just shines and it sparkles and it just looks fantastic. They did, I forget who did matte paintings for Hook, but they're just spectacular pieces of artwork. And those are hanging in the halls at ILM these days.
So it sounds like this movie was a little before your time, but what are some things that you've worked on that we've seen?
Yeah, well, this film was just wrapping up as I came in.
Okay.
And when I first started, I really wasn't even aware of what I was working on, because it's a couple of days here, a couple of days there, because they have several projects going on at once. But it's funny, I should have these up, but I don't. The other things going on when I came in were Always, and Hunt for Red October. They did shots for Ghost, Back to the Future 3, Backdraft. I did a lot of work on Backdraft. But then my next one, my favorite child was The Rocketeer.
Very cool.
Yeah. Wow. That was a lot of fun. And there are other things in between, little things like Memoirs of an Invisible Man.
Sure.
Death Becomes Her. There's some things that seem like straight dramatic films, but they have some kind of special effect in them. And then we did a lot of commercials. Lots and lots of commercials.
Sure.
Yeah, so I do that. I also worked on Hook. I worked on Star Trek 6 and 7.
Cool.
And what else did I do? Terminator 2.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So over at the Rocketeer Minute, we talk about how the Rocketeer got beat out by Terminator 2 because it opened up just a week before and it kicked it out. And I say I worked on Terminator 2 also, and it's like, oh, it's my fault. I killed it. Yeah.
Shouldn't have done such a good job.
Yeah, well.
So do they require you on location a lot of times, or is most of your work done in Marin County?
The people, so when you worked at ILM and they needed people, you just say, oh, come on out, we need a crowd scene here, put on this trench coat, put on this hat, whatever. And sometimes, like in Star Trek 7, Paramount sends up the costumes and I got to be an extra. And they
cool.
They do a whole bunch of you.
Man, that sounds that's like a fun job.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and most of it is because of the people. Because we were talking earlier about some movies that maybe we didn't want to be associated with, that we hang our head in shame. Oh my gosh, I was involved in that film. You don't always realize it when you're working on it. Actors are asked that question all the time. It's such a dumb question on interviews. Like, did you know this was going to be a hit? Well, you believe in what you're making, and you do your best job. So you never know. But there were a couple of films I worked on that were bad all the way around in the beginning, because the production, the producer, the whole thing was terrible, not great conditions. So you knew. But at ILM, everybody was so professional and got along really well for the most part, and it was a lot of fun. So you might be making stuff, and then the film comes out and you go, oh my God, that's why. So, And I won't
That's
say
hilarious.
which one that I think was the worst that I worked on. That
Aw.
that I had. No, I don't want to do that, but I had a lot of fun working on it. But then when it came out, it was like, that's really bad.
Look, I mean, that's, I guess if you're working on something very specific in a project like that, you could probably divorce it to some extent from maybe the finished product. I could see that.
Definitely.
I've played drums on songs that I think are terrible, but I still enjoy playing the drums on those songs. It's still a challenge to do a great job at just that one thing. It's no matter what you're doing, it's hard to play the drums on pretty much any song.
Well, yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is that one of my supervisors there at ILM told me once, it was, I think we were working on Star Trek 6, and there were some last minute, like a month before it was supposed to come out kind of thing, last minute effects shots that we got because whatever they had from another company didn't look good. So we came in to the rescue, and the supervisor says to me, well, now you're not going to be getting credit on this one because it's too late, but you are getting the paycheck. So it's kind of like that, yeah, I worked on this. Oh no, I didn't like that film, or no, it wasn't great. Yeah, but I got the paycheck cleared.
That's awesome.
You just shout your name out in the theater then during that part of the credits, even though your name's not on there?
Well, I had one more thought here on minute 109. When Indy gets out onto the bridge and he kind of leans left and right, and he gets this kind of smirk, and he says, oh, man. Or he kind of does this, oh, man, look. And he reminds me a lot of Han Solo right here.
and
the music even sounds like something out of Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I think what he's thinking right there is he's like, woo-hoo, I can't believe the Lord fell for that. That was my best faith face. At this point, I would like, we're closing up here on the third challenge, and I would like to read from the Bible.
Oh.
Acts of the Apostles 16:31. They replied, believe in the Lord Jesus and you will be saved, you and your household. So it's interesting to me. This final challenge is like the keystone of Christianity here. Believe and you'll receive everlasting life.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's no curves on this one. It's a straight line. It's like right out of the Bible, what Jesus says,
Do you think that was written in Henry's diary there, along with the instructions for this part?
He had the little Acts of the Apostles.
Yeah, because
I don't know.
That's something that I always wondered. I mean, you look at the diary, and there's writing and there's illustrations. He must have had stuff like that written down as a guide.
That is a fantastic question that I don't think we've addressed, because everything in his diary that we've seen, at least, has been historical of nature. And they even talk about, the Chronicles of St. Anselm and that sort of thing. But you're right. I don't think he has any biblical quotes or New
Part
Testament
of the problem
quotes.
is that he could fit everything in his diary. His diary only needed like 3 pages. Like, I don't know what else he'd put other than like a page of, you're doing great, keep at it. Or, like there's a cat hanging on a clothesline saying, hang in there.
I'm trying to remember. I've seen the prop.
Oh, wow.
Oh, very cool.
No way.
And I'm trying to recall if it was just scribble. I think there was actually some writing in there, but it just seems to me like there would have been something like that. Considering the Henry character, there would have been some passages, some Bible passages in there.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's my whole point, is this final challenge is just, right out of like it's like Christianity, first sentence, first paragraph, first page.
Yeah.
You
But
know.
the Grail itself and the whole quest for it and everything and the legend of it is all post-Bible anyway.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see how that
Yeah.
makes sense that there wouldn't be a ton
Yeah.
of Bible
True.
stuff in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
Well, Jer, is there anything coming in over anything or
Well,
a beep or a
this
bleep-a-deep
the
or a-
second time you've saved me here, Tommy. I appreciate it.
Oh.
This coming in over the salamanders. This just in from Professor Christy Porter. What children's game does this remind you of?
This
No.
shot.
Wow.
Yeah, I think this
Or the
scene,
whole-
this final challenge,
You mean a board game or a playground game?
like not a board game, like a
Like a
children's
trust
game.
fall or something? Like where you fall back into
No,
somebody's
no.
arms?
Or when you play
Oh,
hot
you're
lava.
very close. You're very close there, Tommy.
Well,
I
it could
think
have been.
Wow.
We could have been walking the seesaw.
Yeah.
That's
Nesty
good.
plunge.
Nesty.
Don't walk on the lava.
Oh, that was a classic.
Yeah.
Well, how about this? Light as a feather, stiff as a board. Because everybody's got to believe.
Oh, it's true. Or even just the Ouija board. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true too.
There's no way I was moving it.
Tommy, the Ouija board is a 4th, 5th century pagan symbol.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Get that out of here. That's some Elsa business.
Light as a feather, stiff as a board is straight out of the Bible, though. You're right.
It's weird how the Ouija board, though, always misspelled stuff the same way your friend did in class.
Yeah. Why does it keep spelling Pete is awesome? That's really weird.
Well, on that Pete is awesome note, Amy, thank you so much for joining us. This was awesome today.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Love talking about these films.
Yeah, thank you. And you work at a museum now. Would you like to tell people about that?
Yes, not at a museum that Indiana Jones artifacts would be found at, but it's a space museum, and it's in Novato, which is in Marin County, which is over the Golden Gate Bridge for people who don't live in the Bay Area. And it's actually one of the largest private collections of space artifacts around.
Wow.
It's in a small space. It's in a really nice shopping plaza, and there's 2 empty, unrentable store spaces that we get to use, and we rotate out the displays because we have a warehouse with stuff. And we have events throughout the year. Some are small and some are big. Like our summer festival is August 5th. And it's going to be really big. We get like around 8,000 people in one day.
Oh, wow.
We have 7 astronauts coming this year.
Wow.
And
Cool.
we have a Hubble engineer from Goddard and a famous astronomer and coming. So it's a lot. So look us up. It's called the Space Station Museum.
Cool. I'm going to check that out this summer. And
Yeah,
everybody else?
if you come, find me. I'll be
oh, yeah, totally.
running around. I'm the event coordinator. I'll be running around,
Okay.
kind of putting out fires here and there.
Hopefully not literal ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I used to do. Yeah, that was actually something that I did most of the time. You know, there was setup, there was prep of the material for what you were gonna do the pyro on, but when it came to the shot, it was wearing cotton turnouts and putting yourself behind these jerry-rigged plywood shacks. And then when they yell cut, you run in with the fire extinguisher and put it out.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So fun.
That's pretty fun. And listeners, if you want more fun, come back here tomorrow for minute 110 of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
Not fair, I really believe.